Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 307 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and a two-time author. Our second book is called From Letters to Leaders, Redefining New Member Education and Leveraging Belonging to Eliminate Hazing. So go and pick up that book today on Amazon. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there's nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, colleges and universities can service roughly 20% of the student population when it comes to mental health, for example, or the counseling center. But we are going to need to find some more scalable solutions to help with all the other students on campus. Right now, Greek University is beta testing a new app to help with mental health needs with the fraternity and sorority communities, and we feel really good about the scalability by which student phones will be used to get them the real-time support when they need it without the stigma of going to a counseling center, for example. And some of the data that's out there on mental health is really concerning to me. You know, a 2020 survey by the Centers for Disease Control showed that about 25% of adults between the ages of 18 and 24 had seriously considered suicide. And another 2012 survey of college students living with mental health conditions from the National Alliance on Mental Illness found that 64% of survey respondents had dropped out of college, and they did so because of mental health related reasons. And of those students, 45% said they did not receive any accommodations, and 50% did not access mental health services. So the question is, what can we do in order to reach more students? And to answer that question in a very creative way, our next guest is Renaye Thornborrow. She is leading a worldwide movement to inspire and empower kids to own their magnificent life and to reach their fullest potential through the power of life coaching for kids and mindset development through coaching stories. Her Wisdom Coach certification program is enabling professionals on 6 continents and 30 countries to use fun coaching stories and activities to help kids develop strong self-esteem, self-confidence, build resilience and coping skills, to think for themselves and make good decisions, stand up to peer pressure, live life with intention, and achieve their goals, and so much more. Welcome to the show, Renaye.
Thanks, Michael. It's great to be here. It's such an important topic.
It really is such an important topic, and I'm so glad to see that you're working with kids really all over the world to help to build those resilience and those coping skills. So that way, when they get to college, hopefully they're going to have all of that embedded skills in them to make sure that they're successful. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy to share what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And even though we focus on life coaching for kids, the skills that we teach work for children of all ages, college students, grown-ups of all ages. So, everything that we're going to talk about today, I guarantee anyone who's listening is going to walk away with some tools you can use by the end of this conversation.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. I love that you're starting early. I think it's important. I work and teach college students right now, and sometimes I think I'm almost too late, that I really need to start those conversations even earlier. But yes, absolutely. All of those resilience and coping skills can apply to anybody, even me. So I certainly
And me, I'm always
that.
in the work, right?
Yeah, I'm a work in progress.
We're never done.
Yeah, we're never done. That's what people don't understand. I mean, to sit here and say that, I'm all done learning, like, forget it. I mean, I'm in a doctorate program right now, and I got to tell you, I'm learning. I'm writing papers every single week. So trust me, this is a lifelong commitment to learning for sure.
It is. Yes.
Now, you decided on Texas A&M for your undergraduate experience. So tell our audience, what made you choose Texas A&M?
Oh my goodness, Michael. Okay, let's rewind decades ago, because keep in mind, this was 1984 when I graduated high school. And I really was interested in computer science. It was kind of an up and coming field. Think about it, back then, people didn't have computers in their homes. We didn't have cell phones, and certainly not smartphones. And so this was really a up and coming field. And so that's why I chose A&M, is because it had a really great school for engineering, computer science. And I did that work professionally for only about probably 3 or 4 years, and then I transitioned completely. And I think that's kind of an important message for college students, is just, it's a journey. you're not necessarily having to decide your whole life. It's a journey.
Yeah, you and me both. And it's hard to say like how those skills, still apply to you today. I'm sure you use some of those things. I mean, I went to
100%.
school. Yeah, I mean, I went to school
Yep.
for accounting, and I went into the real world doing accounting, and I realized it was so boring that I literally could not do it anymore. And so,
Yeah.
but I will tell you, as an entrepreneur, to be able to produce an income statement and a balance sheet, and to really
Right.
understand without the help or assistance of a CPA how my business is doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, and then be able to
Yeah.
do my taxes myself for the business. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really, it has helped me tremendously, even though I might not actually do accounting for
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, with an engineering background, engineers love to know why something works. And so when I discovered the whole world of personal development right out of college, I remember thinking, why didn't I learn this when I was a kid? And then 20 years later, when I was working to put the curriculum together for my own children, I wanted kids to understand why these skills work. So I included the brain science behind why personal development skills work in the curriculum. So it definitely has a direct tie right there.
I love it. So since 2010, you've been the CEO of Adventures in Wisdom. Tell our audience, what is Adventures in Wisdom? Tell us all about this certification program, and how are you helping kids today?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I just mentioned, I discovered the world of personal development right out of college. And I just remember thinking to myself, why didn't I learn this when I was a kid? Because it makes no sense to me that the life coaching world and personal development world focuses on grown-ups when the core thoughts and beliefs that shape who we are and what we think is possible for our lives are formed when we're really young. So for me, I just felt like the whole world had opened up to me. And I just became a huge student in personal development. And when I had my own children, this was about 20 years ago. I have 2 juniors in college right now, which is why this audience is so near and dear to my heart as well. I wanted them to learn these skills, but I couldn't find anything out there. And I started working with them on my own. And all of a sudden, this vision started to grow. And I had this pull to bring this work to the world, to bring it to other children as well. Now, keep in mind, I was vice president of marketing for a company here in Austin, loved what I did, but this vision was just pulling me to move forward. And I retired from my corporate job, wrote this curriculum, and here we are almost 10 years later. We've got coaches in over 30 countries who are using my curriculum to help bring these types of skills to children, really help them develop these mindset skills for resilience and confidence and self-esteem and goal achievement, because there's a science behind all of it.
I love it. I love that you're doing it. And, I started talking about mental health on college campuses right now. I think it's a huge concern, especially coming out of this pandemic and all of the isolation that the students experienced. So, what are some of the most common challenges you're seeing with students today in regards to mental health?
Yeah, Michael, it's a very big challenge. The pandemic definitely exacerbated the whole situation, but I'll tell you, college students historically have struggled with mental health because there's so many huge changes that are happening, and they're having to adult for the first time, a lot of times living by themselves for the first time, and a lot of them feel so much pressure. So a lot of what we see within the coaching world is around confidence, self-esteem, managing change, and managing disappointments. That's a really big one. So that's where resilience comes in, is being able to bounce back from those disappointments. And this has been a problem, like I said, for decades. I struggled with my own mental health back when I was an undergrad. And like you were mentioning, back then, I mean, there's such a stigma around it. Like, I didn't even know where to get help. I didn't even know if there was support on campus, to tell you the truth. And I wish I had known and had the courage to get some support, because I think it would help me move through things a lot quicker. But, it is what it is. And thank goodness it's becoming less taboo and more acceptable for people to reach out. And it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are making progress in that regard. But I tell you what, I wish I would have found, a counselor or a therapist when I was in college, and not waited until I was an adult to try that. I mean, we didn't
Yeah.
know what was available.
We didn't. I know. And there was such a stigma as well.
Yeah.
And, if you look at mental health, it's actually a continuum. And on one side, you have mental wellness. And then on the other side, you have mental illness. And counselors and therapists tend to support on the mental illness side of things, diagnosing and treating more serious mental conditions. The mental wellness side is where life coaching fits in. It really supports with prevention and supporting people in developing these mindset skills so that they can live from a more empowered or place of more empowerment. And it's a missing link in children's mental health and in adults' mental health. A lot of people aren't even aware that this is part of what can support them if they're struggling just a little bit. And for college students, they're out for something big in their life. They're out to create a degree, new career. A lot of them are in relationships, possibly on a path to marriage, and it can really support them in developing a healthy mindset for these big life changes and goals that they have.
Yeah, thanks so much for explaining all of that. I think that's really helpful. Are there some exercises that we can use to build a healthy mind?
Absolutely. One of the things that we love to teach kiddos is that we call it the 3 Gs. We have gratitude, goals, and gold hearts. So let's kind of step through these because these are something very quick and easy we can do every single morning to help build that healthy mind and put us in a positive mindset for the day. Because the thoughts that we have first thing in the morning are just as important as the food that we have for breakfast every morning. It's kind of like breakfast for the mind, if you think about it. So with gratitude, and that's something I do before I even get out of bed. As soon as you wake up, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And what's a challenge for yourself would be to choose something different each day and cycle through, and it really helps you see the abundance that you do have in your life. The second thing is around goals, and goals is important, especially when someone's going through a hard time, because the first goal level we have is at the higher level. It's kind of our why. What is it that we're up to in the world? What is it that we want to achieve? For a student, it might be, hey, I'm on a path to become a doctor, or I'm on a path to have my own company. So that is our why. So that when we fail a test or even get bad grade in a key class and we have to take the class over, the why can help us keep going. So we have the higher level goal. That is, what is our bigger level thing we want to achieve? We have a goal for how do we want to feel today? Do I want to feel empowered? Do I want to feel excitement? Do I want to bring joy? Do I want to feel smart? Do I want to feel helpful and contributing to other people? And then the next one is just have your goals of kind of tasks. What are 3 things you can get done today to move you forward towards your goal and towards your vision? And it can be your feeling goal. It can be your bigger goal as well. In fact, a great practice is the night before, write down 3 things you want to accomplish that next day. Because then when you wake up, you're going to be in action towards your goal. And then the last thing is the gold hearts. And where this comes from, Michael, is that every time we're with someone, we leave a mark. Either a gold heart or a grungy mark based on how we treat them. And so it's really being mindful of how we are with other people. So that's giving gold hearts to others. But even more important is giving gold hearts to ourselves. And that is the part that so many people leave out. And the best way to give gold hearts to ourselves is through our positive self-talk. Every moment of every day, we're saying something to ourselves through our words or through our thoughts. These thoughts are either building us up or they're tearing us down. We get to choose. That's what's so powerful about being a human being. And when we choose these positive thoughts about ourselves and gold hearts, then we start building what we call neural pathways in the brain. These are brain patterns of positive thinking about ourselves. And it totally rewires the brain. And so one of the things we teach is what we call a mirror mantra. And that is every time you see your reflection in a mirror or a reflection in a window or a pond or whatever, send yourself a positive message, an empowering message about who you want to be in the world. And just building yourself up.
Those exercises are really great. I hope that our students will listen to it, rewind to listen to it again, and then figure out, okay, how do I actually implement this on a daily basis, and really be consciously thinking about that each night and then each morning when they wake up. I think that's just fantastic exercises. Now, as you mentioned, I think college students right now are really battling with their self-confidence, with their self-esteem. I think a lot of it has to do with social media and trying to live up to somebody else's best day on Instagram, for example. I mean, how can they make improvements there with self-confidence and self-esteem?
Well, the most important thing to know is to know that self-confidence is a skill, self-esteem is a skill. And the key to both of them are our thoughts. I mean, our thoughts our mind shapes our world. The great news is that we get to shape our mind through our thoughts and the thoughts that we choose.
Mhm.
So let's talk about self-esteem first. The key tool is the one we just talked about, is around self-talk. In fact, we give away one of our coaching stories for free on our website. It is the one about developing positive self-talk. And even though it's a skill book, it has a children's story, I recommend people go get that because it's relevant to all of us and it can really help you learn that skill of positive self-talk. But that's number one for self-esteem. For confidence, confidence begets confidence. So what we teach people, and one of the main things we work with as coaches, is not only the mindset, because the fear doesn't go away until you do what you're afraid of. So it's practicing stretching outside of your comfort zone. All of our dreams live outside of our comfort zone. So little stretches, whatever that might be, do something that you would normally be afraid of, or something that can help you build courage. For me, for a long time, I had this big fear of heights. And so what I started doing was stretching around, climbing a ladder. And then the big one for me was doing a zip line. And it was for some people, that's joy and fun. For me, it was terrifying, but it's stretching outside your comfort zone because confidence begets confidence.
Very, very nice. I like that idea. I think you can apply that to really just about anything in life. What is the bounce back formula that you talk about? Because I think we all need some help in terms of building resilience with college students, because sometimes things will go wrong. Like, you're going to run into problems when you're in college. I guarantee you're going to have some adversity over that, 4-year period. I think the successful students are the ones that are resilient, that get back up off the mat, and then they go ahead and try again. So what is this bounce back formula?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they think that success is going to be this straight line up and, up in achievement, like 45-degree angle heading up. Mm-hmm. Or better yet, the hockey stick, which is what we love in business. But in reality, it's more like a roller coaster, right? It's up and down and loops and back and forward, and hopefully you're trending upwards, but sometimes you don't, and when you're going backwards, you're like, holy moly, am I supposed to be doing this? Mm-hmm. So the bounce back formula really is in supporting and building resilience. And there's kind of 3 phases of what happens with the brain whenever something happens. Let's talk about when something big happens, because whenever the big things, if you kind of know how to handle that, then you can handle all the little kind of micro disappointments and frustrations in life. But the first thing in the brain is the 3 phases are reset, remap, and then rebuild. So let's talk about reset first. What happens when you have a big disappointment is that, boom, you are out of the frontal lobes of your brain, which is where critical reasoning occurs, and you're into your amygdala, which is fight or flight, emotions, sometimes even panic. Say, for example, you failed that class that's key to your major, or maybe your significant other broke up with you. I mean, this is like, all of a sudden your brain's like, rah. So the first thing we need to do is reset our brain. And it's okay to have a pity party, because what we resist persists. So if you think, well, I gotta be tough, I can't deal with this, I can't, it's okay to say, it's okay to feel bad for yourself for a short period of time, to talk it out with a friend. But what you want to do is not stay there too long. Allow those feelings, allow your amygdala to be heard, but then you're going to want to shift into your frontal lobes as soon as you can. And different techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, talking with friends, exercise, those kinds of things are healthy, supportive ways of dealing with that and getting your back into your frontal lobes. But give yourself, if it's a big shock, it's okay to give yourself that time out. Yeah. To reset your brain, get back into the frontal lobes. But then what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to remap the brain, remap the neural pathways in your brain. It's like, okay, what is it that I'm wanting to do? We're looking at our purpose. What is our big why? Why are we doing this? If it's, hey, I want to be a doctor and I just failed organic chemistry, it's like, okay, if being a doctor is really my goal, then I need to find a way to pass organic chemistry. Just because you failed it once doesn't mean you're going to fail it again. Might be a setback, yes, but that doesn't define who you are. Then the second thing you want to do is to put together your plan. Because when you put a plan in place, it helps your brain know, okay, I have these steps that I can take. I'm going to be able to get there. So it helps calm us down to know that we have a plan. And again, the plan is helping us build the neural pathways in our brain, which are connections in our brain that tells us, hey, we're going to be able to get here. And then what we want to do is we want to rebuild our confidence in and our brain patterns for success by using our positive self-talk, by using visualization and affirmations, which, affirmations is right in with the positive self-talk as well. Because every time we're using positive self-talk, we're visualizing, we have affirmations, we're programming our brain for success, both our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, to look for things that are going to help us achieve those goals. And it's really, really powerful stuff. We have a part of our brain called the reticular activating system, which when we say, this is what I want, the subconscious of our brain is going to help us find things that are in alignment with what it is that we're wanting. So some of the brain science behind it. So just know life is those ups and downs. And I tell you, it's just part of it. It's going to be part of the journey. Getting back up, getting back up, getting back up, moving forward is, you are going to achieve your dreams. The only way you're not going to achieve your dreams if you sit on the couch and and not be in action.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good advice for our audience. I love that stuff. Maybe even like a vision board. I know a lot of people
Vision board,
use that,
absolutely. Yep.
just to kind of keep that motivation of, okay, this is where I want to go. And that helps you to figure out a path in order to ultimately get there. But if you're not journaling, if you don't have that vision board in terms of where you want to go, then it's kind of really hard. You have to put down those goals on paper somewhere that you can look at and then ask yourself, am I really making progress to getting there or not?
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about a vision board, Michael, is that every time you look at it, whether you're looking directly at it or even glancing or walking by it, it's sending that message to your brain and your reticular activating system to find something. Like my vision board right now, I actually have on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I move it each day so that whenever I see it in a new place, I'm actually consciously looking at it as opposed to it just blending into the background. So that's a quick little tip for people to use that. And research shows, we talked about mental health, that people who have goals and dreams and things that they're moving towards achieving, they tend to have stronger mental health because they have purpose, they have direction in their lives.
Now, you talk about improving mindset skills. What exactly does that mean to you?
So mindset skills are all about how we think. And it's really about supporting people and learning how they think. So we've talked about self-talk. That's one of the key ones. Another one of the key skills that we use throughout personal development world, coaching world, is what we call shifting our thinking. Because how we think about something shapes how we experience it. If you think about it, Michael, all events are neutral. It's how we choose to think about those events that define how we experience them. And so for kids, we teach them to wear their power goggles. And we have fun art projects where they'll actually make their power goggles. And as an exercise, we'll experiment with having a situation. They'll put on their victim goggles and look at that situation from a victim point of view. Then they'll put on their power goggles and look at it from a power point of view. So let's take this into real life, right? Failing a test. That's something that happens to just about everybody at all ages. So a victim would be, oh gosh, I'm going to fail. I'm failed. I'm a failure. Teacher tried to trick me. This isn't fair. Power goggles is, wow, I must not have studied the right thing or didn't study enough. Maybe I need to study harder next time. Or maybe I can ask the teacher for an extra project or extra credit, or to do some extra work to be able to improve my grade. And that leaves someone, instead of feeling like a victim and like there's something wrong with themselves, they start feeling more empowered, like they can face a situation in an empowered point of view and be in action on solving the problem. So there's not something wrong with them, there's something wrong with the situation, and they can go solve that problem.
That's a great tool to kind of reframe whatever it is that happens to us, right? I mean, we interpret that as either good or bad or indifferent, but those goggles really make you change your way of thinking about all of these things that are happening to us on a day-to-day basis. You
really
kind of
does.
touched on it a little bit earlier, but talk to us a little bit about some of the differences between life coaching, which is something that you and your team do every single day, versus therapy or counseling. How are those things different?
Yeah. So life coaching, so as I mentioned, the continuum, life coaching is really on the mental wellness side and supporting on prevention and supporting in developing mindset skills or thinking skills around resilience, confidence, self-esteem, achievement, self-leadership, managing peer pressures, all the things that we need to navigate the ups and downs of life so that we can go for it in life and reach our fullest potential. And so even if someone's struggling a little bit with confidence or self-esteem, or they've had a big bump in the road, maybe they're managing a change, or maybe they made a big mistake. A lot of college students sometimes make big mistakes.
Sure, myself
That doesn't,
included.
our mistakes don't define who we are.
Right.
And so being able to move past that is so important. And coaching helps with all of that. And, if a situation gets to be a little bit more serious, where maybe there's self-harm, severe anxiety, more serious depression, that's when counseling needs to get involved. And coaches know when something's outside of their abilities and their skill set, and they're able to refer to counseling. And sometimes coaches are part of a student's team. There's, when we're talking about younger students, there's the parent, the coach, counselor, therapist. When it comes to college students, you can have a coach and even a therapist that are all working to support that person and getting back to a mentally strong place. And hopefully parents are involved too, but I know that with some college students that, they're not comfortable with that.
So who can become a life coach, and how long does that process take? And can anybody do it?
Yeah. Oh, great question. So our coaches have three things in common. They are absolutely passionate about children, passionate about personal development work, and they see as helping children helps them do their work in the world. The vast majority of our coaches come from a life coaching background, education background, or counseling, therapy, social work background. But we also have coaches that have worked with children in a variety of capacities, maybe martial arts instructors, sports coaches, acting teachers. We have a whole realm from there as well. So those are the most important criteria, is just really wanting to make a difference in a child's life.
Very helpful. This has been some really great information. Now, I know that you're in Austin, Texas. I do love Austin almost as much as I love Nashville, because Nashville and Austin, I mean, these are like kindred spirits, these cities,
Yeah,
right?
sister cities.
They're sister cities. And so
Yep.
I do love good food, and I know there's some really good food in Austin. So where do you go for a
Yeah.
great meal in Austin?
Yeah, well, I love Tex-Mex, so I highly recommend Chuy's. It's kind of the Austin place to go for Tex-Mex, and college students like it. And college students also really love Torchy's Tacos. That's a great grab and go kind of place, really college student friendly. And I think they're actually starting to expand even outside of Texas, because I know my son, who's a junior at CSU, Colorado State University, said they're getting one. So if you see one of those, go get it, especially the queso and the trashy, what is it? Torchy's trashy or trashy. I can't remember what it's called. It make it trashy means you put queso on top of your taco. It's really good.
That sounds amazing. All right, so Torchy's Tacos. I have a place that I'm now going to go visit and see if I like it. Chuy's, I definitely know them really well. They've been all over the place. They have one in my area, probably about 5 minutes away. Really, really good food. So I like Chuy's quite a bit. So those are some great recommendations. And you really can't go wrong with Tex-Mex. I mean, who doesn't like tacos? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
It's delicious. I mean, who doesn't like that? All right. So if our students who are listening right now, if they want to contact you to learn more about Adventures in Wisdom, maybe they have some questions for you around life coaching and how that process works, where's the best place for them to go and to connect with you?
Yeah, well, our website is adventuresinwisdom.com. That's where they can find that free coaching story about developing positive self-talk if they want to try that out. A lot of our coaches work with adults, and some even work with college students. So if they're interested in maybe working with someone, and they use skill sets beyond, of course, what we do with younger children, but we have something under, it's for parents, but there's a connect with a coach form. You can just fill out the form and say, hey, this is my situation, what I'm looking for, and see who responds to you and see if there might be a good fit for you there. But the most important thing is just to know that there are resources and avenues out there for you beyond counseling and therapy. In fact, it can help you even preventing from getting to the situation where you need counseling and therapy. So just whatever you do, if you're struggling a little bit, don't struggle alone. there's a lot of support out there for you.
That's great advice. I know that a lot of our students are really confused as to what resources they have available to them. I think most of them have heard about the counseling center on their campus. Most of them, whether or not they use it, I think is another story. But then just to know that there are life coaches out there that also could be of assistance, it's just great to know that, hey, all of these things are all available to you. You choose what works best for you. And maybe depending on what's going on in your life, maybe the life coach makes a recommendation or a handoff and says, you know what, I think we need to take this and move this somewhere else. Or maybe life coaching is exactly what it is that you need. So having all of those alternatives, I think, is just great for the students to know about and to go out and pursue and see what works best for them. There is not any one size fits all solution here, right?
Exactly. You're right.
Yeah. All right, very good. Well, Renaye Thornborrow, thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise with our listeners here today. We really appreciate it. And to our student listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Renaye, make sure that you like it. Make sure you share it with other college students that are on your campus. And we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.